Hey there guys, today's going to be the start of the biggest build of the year for me, a from scratch travel trailer. I'm hoping to make it somewhere between a teardrop trailer and a full-size camp trailer with hopefully the benefits of both and none of the detractions. So I am going to have to be a little bit careful on the fabrication portion so I don't add too much steel, but I think it's going to turn out well. I want to say thank you to Industrial Metal Supply. They are partnering with me on this and supplying some of the steel for me to resurrect this project. Some of you may know this actually started about 2 years ago and then it got tabled for various reasons. But anyway, let me give you the backstory on where it started from and then we will get to the build. So here's the quick backstory. About 2 years ago, I received a free axle from my brother-in-law, and I figured the best thing to do with that axle was to start building a trailer on it. I wasn't exactly sure the plans I was going to use. I just figured I would build a trailer frame that would fit the axle and then figure some sort of teardrop looking thing on top. My father-in-law helped me with some of the critical welds because I was still pretty new to welding at the time. But for various reasons, the whole project got tabled, and that leads us to today where I'm hoping to make this into something that is going to be worth taking on road trips. And here's what the trailer looks like today, pretty much the same with the addition of some rust, as well as the fact that I moved the leaf springs back a bit in anticipation for this build. You can see the old hangers right there with the new hangers just behind them. The first big step of this phase of the build was to lengthen and widen the trailer. I originally was going to be pulling this with my Volkswagen Jetta TDI, but now that I have a pickup and a little bit more towing capacity, I figured the extra size of the trailer would be appreciated. After adding both length and width to the trailer frame, I then took off the wheels and leveled it out on jack stands, making sure it was dead level in all directions. At this point, I'm essentially going to be using the frame as an assembly table to put together my roof and wall framework in kind of a mirrored fashion. So right now everything is upside down. I will tack it together and then I'll flip it back over so that it'll hopefully fit the trailer frame perfectly. After getting the main frame flipped over and tacked into place and confirming everything was square, I then started filling in the rest of the framework and building out the rough shape of the trailer. This piece is going on the front side of the trailer and the top is still unattached because at this point I'm still not sure of just how I'm going to bend the curved radius, but as you will see in about a second, my father-in-law helps me to do this with an acetylene torch and an old water pressure tank, and we basically just bent the form around it and it ended up being the perfect curve that I needed. And when we were finished, I asked him to do the honors of attaching it to the trailer frame so that I could keep yet another build tied in our family roots of having multi-generations work on different parts and pieces of things. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the bulk of the fabrication and framing for this first part of the build. There's still a few little things I need to add in various areas, and I need to finish full welds on a lot of these joints. A lot of them are just kind of tacked into place. But let me grab the camera. I'll give you a walk around of what I need to do and what is to come for the next stage of this build. For the next phase of the build, I'll be adding wood framing to the structure, both for reasons of weight savings as well as to provide a better interior surface to mount wall paneling and cabinets to. It's also going to help to add support and bridge the gaps of some of these larger metal openings when I attach the aluminum siding and the plywood from the inside. I'm also going to use wood to frame out all of the window openings, so there will be one that goes there, one that goes there. There will be a front window that goes right there, and then the door, the main door, will be right here, and I still need to add a metal support on the top of that. That will be attached directly to the metal with wood just filling in the gaps. And the floor will be made up of 2x4s that will be attached to these metal tabs that you see right there. With plywood decking. The reason I'm using 2x4s versus steel is just for reasons, again, of weight savings. It was about 60 pounds difference going from steel supports versus 2x4s, and that's why I'm doing it. I don't think it's going to get exposed too much to the elements, with the exception of when we're driving, having road spray. But I am going to try to seal from the underside once everything is completely framed out. The wheel wells are just kind of sitting there right now. That's not their final location. As you can see, I've got a little buffer room of how far I can move those up, but eventually they will be secured with bolts, and then when I put the siding on, the siding will completely meet the wheel well and hopefully have a really seamless look. And if you're wondering about the wheels, no, those weren't original to the free axle I got. These were the original wheels that I had. They were all dry rotted and in need of replacement. So I started looking on Craigslist, and I found a guy who was upgrading his Jeep rims. These were the stock Jeep rims, and these tires only had a few thousand miles on them. So I got 5 tires for $225, and I just had to buy some lug adapters. So that is, I don't know, in case I didn't mention it earlier. So that is it for the first part of the travel trailer build. I'm really pleased with the way the profile has turned out. I was a bit nervous as to how that front radius and the back angled section would actually look in person versus my sketches, but so far so good. The next time you see this, it should be skinned up in aluminum. I'll have the windows added, the interior framing, the wood floor, the insulation, and the door on. So it's really going to be looking like a camp trailer then. Then after that, it might slow down a bit because I need to wire in all the DC electrical and the lights and stuff, and I've never really done that, so it's going to be a learning process for me. But I guess with that said, this whole trailer's the first time I've done this, so the whole thing's going to be a learning process. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to see updates of this, check me out on Instagram. But until the next video, we will see you next time.